I'm here to keep you caught up with the hottest restaurants and coolest cocktail joints. Each week, we'll talk with the owner or head chef and give them a chance to show you what makes them Nebraskan and what they've got cooking here on Eat Nebraska. Welcome to another episode of Eat Nebraska. I am here today at Maggie's Vegetarian with the owner and head chef, Maggie Pleskac. And this is obviously Maggie's Vegetarian, wraps and more. Specialize in what?
Mostly sandwich wraps, hence the name. But we've broadened that. So we started out with just doing sandwich wraps. So the name Maggie's Vegetarian Wraps is a little outdated. We had to add the "and more" to state that we do a lot more than that. Okay. Salads, soups, entrees, casseroles.
All right, and also breakfast items?
Yes, we start everything in the morning at 8 a.m. and it's all vegan. So all the cookies, the scones, the muffins, everything we bake from scratch using organic ingredients is all certified organic and vegan.
Excellent, excellent. And so where do you get your ingredients from?
Our ingredients comes from a distributor called UNFI, which stands for United Natural Foods Industry. And it's the world's largest organic and non-GMO supplier in the United States.
Wow, okay, so very as vegan as you can get.
Yes.
You're certified and
guaranteed. Those are our main ingredients. So what we source locally is mostly, the produce, our honey, our eggs, things like that. But things like sugar, flour, vegan butter, those kind of things are sourced through the United Natural Foods Industry.
Okay. And so when you're talking about your produce and your eggs and everything, where do those come from? Well,
we've got a handful of our farmers on the wall, but we buy from a lot more than just the farmers you see there.
Okay.
So our main suppliers that we've been with forever, we post their picture up. But through the year, if anybody comes up with, a root vegetable, if one of our farmers is running short, we have to go to another source.
Right.
So we have several farmers that we can fall back on if somebody's out of butternut squash when we really need it, or turnips when we really need it, then we have 2 or 3 other farmers we can go to.
Okay. All right. And so how did you get started in the restaurant industry?
Well, this was opened, we're going into our 15th year. So we opened in 2000, and there was a desperate need in Lincoln for a vegetarian cafe.
Right.
But I wanted to go beyond that. I didn't want to just offer vegetarian food, because you could go to any fast food restaurant and order something without meat.
Sure.
You're not getting quality food. So my goal when I opened this was to have the highest quality nutrition in a vegan or vegetarian format. And this is modeled after most of my time spent on the West Coast. Okay. So this is California inspired, hence the drive to do local.
Right.
Because in California, it's very easy to be local year round.
For sure.
At least in the southern part. So that's where it was modeled after. I traveled extensively through California, spent about a year visiting restaurants, picked up about 400 menus, went through it all and found out this is what I want to do. This is the way I can present it in a quick and easy fashion, which the wraps are very popular in Southern California. So at least it was 15 years ago. In the 90s, it was pretty popular. So we just went with that format, and it's worked for us.
Okay. All right. And so are you originally from Nebraska?
I am. I've spent some time in Arizona, and I lived in the Netherlands for a year. But Lincoln always brings me back. There's something about Nebraska that's just...
It is the good life.
It is the good life, and there's so much going on here. You just need to open yourself up to receive it, and it's all around you.
Right. All right. And so during the summer months when there's the farmers market going on, because we're located in the Haymarket here, do you get anything special from the farmers market?
Yes.
Because I know a few restaurants around here do special, this is what I got today at the farmers market, what's available.
Yes, absolutely, and that's how our menu changes. So the roasted veggie melt will never be the same. The frittata will never be the same. It depends on what we source that week. So whatever the farmer brings in that week is what we use. And to make it easy on the farmers, sometimes we'll walk down and we'll pick up our order from the farmers at the market. But most of the time, the deliveries do come to the front door. Okay.
Because a lot of the same farmers that you use also have stands at the farmers market.
Yes, exactly.
And so if you're ever interested about where she gets her stuff, come on in, look at the wall, see what farmers she's using, and then walk over to the farmers market during the summer months and, hey, I can make this too, or try to make it. And
I always tell Shadowbrook Farm, that's where we source a lot of our greens from. If they ever have a shortage of greens over there, they can just send them up here for a salad, because we're using the same lettuce.
Okay, sounds good. All right, and so what items are you going to be preparing for us today?
So today I want to make the roasted veggie because I want to highlight how we do seasonal here. So today it's going to be pretty simple because we don't have a lot in season right now.
Right.
We're just going to do a really basic sweet potato butternut squash roast. I'd also like to highlight a frittata using our local eggs. And if we have time, we may get to the falafel. Okay. But for sure, the first two.
All right. Well, let's move on into the kitchen and get these going.
Sounds good.
And so we are back in the kitchen with Maggie here. And so what dish are we going to be working on now?
So this is going to start the roasted veggies. And we've got 3 different farms in here. Our sweet potatoes come from Iron Thumb Gardens. So does the garlic. Our onions are grown from a second-year Crops Community Gardens farmer, Carla Stornberg. And the butternut squash comes from Pinoak's farm. So we have 3 different farmers involved here, and I'm just going to roughly chop the garlic because I really like the garlic to have a real front and center flavor. So I don't want to mince it. I want some big chunks in there. I want it to be visually, I want you to see the garlic. For those of you who are afraid of garlic, you'll be able to see that chunk and pick it right out, if you were so inclined. But since this is nature's medicine, I encourage everybody to eat garlic, even if you don't like it.
I have no problem with eating garlic.
Yes, and we got to think about how do we prepare our foods in accordance to the seasons. So being in Nebraska and having 4 seasons, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to put asparagus in here. It's just not in our season, and it has to be shipped thousands of miles to get to us. Right. So this is a very, very simple version of what our roasted veggies are. We'd also provide some beets and some turnips, but we like to vary it up once in a while. We have some customers who aren't beet lovers, so this particular match will be good for them. I also like to go with seasonal herbs. I like to practice a lot of Ayurveda, which is sister science to yoga, and it has a lot to do with the time we eat, the seasons we eat in, the spices we use. So what I'm using here is basil and oregano and thyme. And these are all seasonally appropriate herbs to use. They warm the body and they boost the immune system. So it's really good to be using this time of the year. My theory is you should, I think it was Hippocrates that said, eat thy medicine. Food is thy medicine. And I strongly believe in that. I feel like we could save ourselves a lot in our medical bills if we just decide to eat right. And eating right just simply means you eat whatever is being grown right now. So this is a very simple seasonal dish. So all I'm going to do now is put this onto a baking pan. We roast it in the oven for 30 minutes at about 350. Well, ours is a convection oven, so 350 degrees in a convection oven. If you're going to do this at home, you want to do it at 400. So just taking out the pan, and we just transfer this down. I'm going to divide it between 2 sheets because you really want it in a single layer, because what's really good in this roasting process is the caramelization that happens. So the sugars, the natural sugars in the sweet potato and the butternut can be really brought forward. It's almost like a nice kind of a brown sugar glaze that happens naturally. So we just get a nice single layer there. Times 2. A lot of chefs use parchment paper. Makes the cleanup a little easier on the pans. But we pride ourselves in being a sustainable cafe. So we try to use less whenever possible. Less waste. And it's an easy cleanup. We got a little organic olive oil coating the veggies right now. It sprays right off when it's done roasting. And everything gets composted or recycled in this kitchen. So all of the onion skins, all of the peelings from the sweet potatoes, from the butternut, goes into a compost bin, and it goes home to my home compost every day. All right. And I have 3 chickens at home, and they love to sort through the scraps. So this is our first dish, roasted veggies. So this is going to be our frittata, yep. So it's basically a quiche with no crust. Right. These are Pinoak Farms eggs, and you can see the differences in the yolk because it'll be different depending on what the chickens eat. Here we have a very nice orange one. This is about the color we get at home with our chickens after they eat all of our carrot peelings.
Oh, I was going to say, so what causes the different color of the yolk?
Nutrition, depending on what the chickens are eating, what they're being fed. Yep. So these are all free range from Pinoak Place. And we usually have different suppliers for the eggs because chickens molt, and when they molt, they're not laying eggs. So we have to have a variety of sources. Common Good Farm is one, Pin Oak Place is another. We also have some friends, the Broccoli Pharmaceuticals, that also supply us with the eggs. So I'm taking 1.5 dozen. Always source your eggs locally because you can talk to your farmer and you can go out and view and see how they're treating their chickens. Right now I'm adding Parmesan cheese, about 2 cups. And I just want to make another note of that as well, is it's really important to care for the land, but it's equally important to care for the animals in the land. And so just being respectful when we do have animal products like eggs and cheese, that we know that it comes from a reliable source. Using organic soy milk. This is not a vegan recipe and not animal sourced. But the important thing about our soy milk that we use here in our muffins is that it is certified organic. By being certified organic, it's certified not genetically engineered. As the laws stand, the USDA regulations don't allow GMOs in organic. So we make every effort possible when it comes to the Dirty Dozen, canola, cotton, soy, corn, that it's always sourced organically so that we can keep genetically engineered foods out of our recipes. I could go on a whole episode for you on how I feel about genetically engineered crops. I will step off my soapbox and just leave it at Frankenfoods don't belong in our foods. So I'm just whipping together the soy milk, the eggs, the Parmesan, and then I'm going to season it a bit. Just putting in a little bit of salt, maybe 2 teaspoons. As you can see, everything is methodically measured in this kitchen.
I was going to note on something on that. I was like, no, that's my style of measuring.
Yes. Love the black pepper. Black pepper and eggs are like just a match made in heaven. So you can't ever have too much. I put about almost 2 tablespoons of black pepper in there. And for me, I prefer to do onion powder and garlic powder in a frittata. And the reason being is you get that infusion of flavor of onion and garlic in a custard. So you're not getting the chunks, you're not getting any raw garlic or raw onion taste. It smooths out into a savory custard. So when I make it, I prefer to use powder, even though we do have the fresh stuff. I'm doing about 1/3 cup of garlic powder and about 1/3 cup to 1/2 cup of onion powder. Mixing all that in, because what this is gonna do is give the eggs so much more body and flavor and give the whole custard a nice savory finish. And then from here, this is the basic frittata. So we're gonna take in some herbs now. These are locally grown, nettles. Nettles are amazing. They're just like spinach, but way more nutritious. So tons of iron, tons of magnesium, and it tastes amazing. You won't ever go back to spinach once you've had nettles. So all you do is you take your nettles and you harvest them with gloves on. These are stinging nettles. So you do want to make sure the hands are protected. Once they have been blanched, dried, the sting goes away. So these are safe. You won't have any reaction in the mouth.
Good to know.
So this essentially is a spinach frittata with the use of local nettles, wild crafted nettles.
I was gonna say, can you get nettles in the store anywhere, or is it something you do have to go and get from a local source?
They're so abundant that it's just right at your back door. The thing about nettles is people consider them a weed, much the same way as lamb's quarters or purslane or any of these wild crafted foods that we have right at our back door. Most people are spraying them to get them out of their yard. But don't spray them. They're highly nutritious and they're amazing. This is our soup base. We add a little bit of this to every one of our vegetarian broths to give it a really nice deep flavor. It's not a weed, but that's why you won't find it in the supermarket, because it's considered a weed by most.
Right. I was gonna say, I have never seen nettles going into a recipe. I've never heard of anybody eating nettles, so this is fascinating and wonderful.
This is brand new. So this is what we're gonna do. It's basically a very simple spinach frittata with nettles instead of spinach. And then all we'll do here is put it into a 13 by 9 pan. It's gonna go into a water bath, and then we'll bake this in the oven 350, 375 degrees for an hour.
Okay.
So,
and why the water bath?
the water bath, that's a very good question. Because it's an egg, you want it to cook evenly. If you didn't have it in a water bath, your top would cook and the middle would be runny. So the water bath surrounds it, it cooks it at a nice, even, slow temperature.
So like cheesecake.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. All right.
All right, today I am back together with Maggie. Came back in after we'd prepared everything yesterday, so this way we can show everything in its finalized product.
Right.
And so right now we are going to be building a wrap.
Yes, so the roasted veggies, they go on one or two things. We put it in the pizza, sometimes we'll use it in the frittata, sometimes we'll just use it as the roasted veggie melt, which is one of our most popular wraps. They change every season. Now this particular batch is one with kale. It still has the butternut squash in it, the sweet potatoes, but in addition it has kale and watermelon radish, all roasted with those same seasonal herbs. The cheese we use is from Yesha Farm in Brainerd, Nebraska, small farmstead dairy. They don't use any growth hormones or antibiotics on a routine basis, and they have vegetarian rennet. So this is their mozzarella. And we're also using tomatoes, unfortunately, from California at this point because it is November. We were able to use fresh tomatoes until about 2 weeks ago. We were ripening green tomatoes wrapped in newspaper to get them to ripen. So unfortunately, the days of fresh tomatoes in Nebraska are over. So at this point, they're not local. So all we're gonna do is warm this up so the cheese melts and we get a nice kind of gooey texture. And we use a non-GMO tortilla. The brand that we use is Maria and Ricardo, all natural. And the reason we specifically use this is because it is a non-GMO verified product. So the roasted veggie should be done. So you see that there's a nice melted cheese through the whole thing. And we just fold this up, get a nice tight wrap. So it's a nice, easy meal on the go. You can see where I've been inspired by California here. Just a simple, easy to eat sandwich. We always cut in half because you never know. If you want to save some for later, you'll always have seconds. So there you have all seasonal, organically sourced, roasted veggie melt, topped with a little sprinkling of Parmesan cheese, just to kind of finish off the flavors. A little dash of paprika for color and for flavor. And there you have it.
Beautiful.
So the frittata actually has a choice of sides. The frittata could come with a soup, it could come with salad, it could come with a vegan organic muffin. So it's really whatever the customer's preference is. And the salad, of course, is the local organic greens, organic carrots, local onions, when in season, local tomatoes, organic cucumbers, and all of our dressings are made from scratch in-house.
So this is our vegetarian wrap.
Yes.
So it has, what all the ingredients again?
Kale, sweet potatoes, butternut squash, and watermelon radish.
Okay, and still the tons of garlic?
Yes, garlic, onions, roasted in olive oil and herbs.
All right.
And then topped with mozzarella, locally made, and fresh tomatoes.
All right, well I am going to dig in.
Enjoy. And all wrapped on a non-GMO natural tortilla.
That's really good. The little sprinkling of the paprika on there.
Yes, just a little extra flavor. Beautiful garnish, but a beautiful flavor.
And the vegetables.
Yes.
They're so sweet.
That's what I say, that the farmers make my job so easy as a chef.
Yeah.
I really don't have to do anything.
And
I
this
mean,
is why you do organic.
Yes.
This is why you know your farmers.
Yes.
And
And this stuff is grown on the land the same time we're experiencing these seasons. So it's so important for us to live in that kind of climate. We live and we eat the food that we're experiencing. But I like the play of colors. So we have a little bit of the orange, we have the green from the kale, we have the magenta from the watermelon radish, the bright red tomatoes. So it really is a beautiful wrap. And like I tell my daughter, you have to eat the colors of the rainbow to know that you're eating nutritious food every day. Have you eaten at least 5 colors? And
That's
brown doesn't count.
Right. Well, thank you again for letting me join in with your kitchen here at Maggie's.
Thank you.
And yeah, Thank you so much. And this is wonderful. And if you ever have a chance when you're down in the Haymarket, come into Maggie's. What is your address again?
311 North 8th Street.
All right, 311 North 8th, right north of, what are we next to?
We're north of the mill, so the mill's kind of a landmark. They've been around forever.
Yep.
So we're about a block north of the mill between on 8th and Q Street.
Perfect. All right, well, thank you again, and
Thank you.
have a wonderful day.
You too.
Different life, a different